With Dark Souls 3 being the last game in the Dark Souls franchise, I think it's safe to assume that the developers put a lot of time and effort into making this game unforgettable, and what is in my opinion, the best game in the series. Now this time and effort can be seen in various aspects of the game, whether it be the fantastic combat or the beautiful soundtrack and sound design, but I feel like the place where this shines the most is the game's boss fights. The boss fights in Dark Souls 3 are something else. I feel like the best aspects of Dark Souls 3 are showcased in this game's boss fights. The way that Miyazaki and the team went about designing and creating the bosses in this game led to an all-around incredible experience and some of the best boss fights in gaming to date. And that leads me to the point of this video. There is a total of 25 bosses in Dark Souls 3, with all of them differing in difficulty and quality. So the question I have for you today is this. Who is the best boss in Dark Souls 3? Is it Sister Fried and Father Ariandel? Is it the Nameless King and that shit-eating dragon he rides on? Is it the Great Rotted Curse Tree? Well, I mean, no, of course it's not the Great Rotted Curse Tree. The fuck? Well, in my humble opinion, the best boss in Dark Souls 3 would have to be Slave Knight Gael from the Ring City DLC. And if you keep watching, I'll give you my reasoning as to why. Also like and subscribe. I'm trying to hit 1,000 subscribers before 2025. Help me out, dog. Slave Knight Gael, the final boss of the Ring City DLC. To give some context to the boss, the Ring City DLC is the last DLC for Dark Souls 3 and it is also some of the best content in the game. It really is just incredible. It introduced some interesting new lore, cool new armor and weapons, and it also introduced a few bosses like the fantastic fight against Dark Eater Madeira and the Demon Prince. So after making your way through the Ring City, more specifically after getting shot at by stands, assaulted by 7 Harrowed Legion Knights, and beating Half-Light Spear of the Church, you're brought up this elevator and a flight of stairs. At the top of these stairs is a woman, Felinor, the youngest daughter of Lord Gwyn. Character touches the egg-looking thing she's holding and it crumbles because that's what happens every time you touch something in this game. Anyway, you touch it and Felinor ages like a lot and all of a sudden you've been transported to this brand new area, except you haven't. After walking around the place, you'll soon realize that this is still the Ring City. It's just old as fuck. Everything and everyone is gone, leaving behind nothing but sand and ruins, and this dude is bent over. Hey yo, nigga is sus. Pause. To add even more context to this boss fight, not only is it the last boss of the Ring City DLC, it's also the last boss of the game. For a lot of people, including myself, this boss fight against Gael was their last experience with the game. So when you look at it from that perspective, it makes a lot more sense as to why this boss is so fucking good. Like, it's literally the final boss of the Dark Souls franchise, and I feel like FromSoft understood that and developed Gael accordingly. And so a cutscene commences in which he says he wants your Dark Soul, and the boss fight begins. As soon as the boss fight starts, the first thing you'll notice about him are his movements and his attacks. He's almost animalistic in how he approaches you. He uses his sword to make fast, wide-range lunging attacks, which kind of forces you to either block or dodge as it doesn't leave enough room or time for you to position yourself correctly. He also has some diving attacks like this one where he backs up and jumps into the air, or this one at the end of his lunging combo. Like most bosses in the game, if you're fast enough you can do some damage in between his normal lunging attacks, but if you're someone like me who was using an ultra greatsword, then you'll be doing the majority of your damage after his diving attacks, as he's very vulnerable after missing them. After you do enough damage to him, he starts this upgraded version of his lunge dive combo where he screams and swings like 5 times before diving. My first time fighting him, I was not ready for this and I was right beside him when he did it, so I just started panic rolling, and yeah, don't panic roll. Anyways, once you get him down to like 2/3 of his health, this cutscene starts playing. And this cutscene is really just some anime shit, bro. And it's cool as fuck. He falls to the ground and spits out some blood, and then he gets this red aura all over his body, which makes for this cool ass scene. So yeah, Gael gets Kaioken times 1,000 and the second phase begins. Oh yeah, this fight has phases by the way, and this isn't the last one. God, I love this game. In Gael's second phase, it seems like his whole moveset changes, with it becoming a lot more aggressive while also being more defensive. Alright, so not only do his attacks now do more damage, they also have more range and his cloak follows up every sword attack. This is very interesting as it stops you from just R1 spamming after his attacks, as you now have to be wary of his cloak, and now, unlike the first phase, your positioning matters a lot more. Apart from those changes, he now has a bunch of new attacks. He now has this tornado spin attack which does a lot of damage. He has this repeating crossbow he pulls out which forces you to run away because it follows you and it stops you from controlling the pace of combat. He also uses this spell called Way of White Corona where he throws out these light discs. Once again, this attack is good at controlling the pace, as even if you dodge the initial attack, you also have to be ready for when it comes back because these discs are essentially just light boomerangs. Once you do enough damage to him again, he's gonna take a knee. This may seem like a good time to get some damage in, and yeah it is, but make sure to get away in time because after a few seconds he's gonna let off this soul explosion. And boom, the third and final phase of the boss has begun. Phase 2 is almost completely different to Phase 1 with this whole moveset changing, but Phase 3 is just Phase 2 on crack. The first thing you might notice in this phase is the fucking lightning, Please be wary of these. I'm sure other people have different and better ways of dealing with them, but all I did was just run around whenever I felt they were getting too close. Those diving attacks from phase 1 are back, and they are back with a vengeance. After a lot of his combos or attacks, he now does the same dive attack where he backs up and then dives at you, but now it obviously does a lot more damage. Now while this attack does seem a bit scary at first, it's actually very useful. After he does this attack, he's vulnerable for a little bit, and it's very readable with the dodge backwards and the jump into the sky, so after a while it should be very easy to take advantage of. Apart from this, he also now has more tornado swinging attacks, with some of them even leading into or being part of his combos. He also has this sideways diving attack where he dodges sideways as opposed to backwards before jumping. And guys, please do not get these attacks mixed up. Gael is not safe after this attack. I repeat, Gael is not safe after this attack. I have died so many times just because I got these attacks mixed up, so please just learn which one is which. He also gets this really cool backflip attack where he shoots his crossbow, and it's not really anything to be worried about, but it looks cool as fuck. Once you do enough damage to him and finally kill him, he just dies. Like he's just dead now. No cutscene, no lines from him. You just killed the last boss in the Dark Souls series and it's just another death. He drops the blood of the Dark Souls, which you can give to the Painter and Ariandel, and he drops his soul, which you can give to Ludlith to make Gael's greatsword. And boom, that's the end of Dark Souls. One of the most popular and influential franchises in gaming ends with this dude, Slave Knight Gael. The fact that the last boss of this game, and a character that is canonically the strongest character in the series, is just a regular human, a nobody, kinda like you, is kind of cool. Gael isn't a god, he's not a demon, he's not a fucking dragon, he's just a dude on a mission. And he dies by the player's hand, who's just another dude on a mission. Something about that is just really beautiful and poetic in a way that a goofball like me can't really explain. I feel like Gael is the antithesis of Dark Souls. He's everything a good boss should be, from his music, to his design, to his arena, to him. Everything about Gael just comes together perfectly to make an unforgettable experience. I really don't think the people at FromSoft could have made a better ending to the franchise than this. And that's the end of the video. I don't really have much to say, man. I mean, I love Dark Souls 3, so making this video is very fun to me. And hopefully it blows up and gets 100 gazillion views. But yeah, I have some really cool videos that I'm working on. I just need to decide what to finish and upload first. I got 2 Final Fantasy videos, a Nier Automata video, and obviously the DS2 retrospective. But yeah, I'll probably drop one of the Final Fantasy videos next, and if it gets the response I think it will, then, and if this video does as well, then we'll be at 1,000 subs in no time. And y'all know I got some crazy plan for that. But yeah, that's enough yap. As always, this has been your boy Jugo Young, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace!